What if you could actually upgrade your own body and mind? And no, I'm not talking about science fiction. I'm talking about using data, technology, and science to feel and perform at your absolute best. This is the world of biohacking, and in this explainer, we're basically handing you the user manual. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Imagine a guide that tells you exactly which foods give you the most energy, how much sleep you need for peak mental clarity, and which of your habits are secretly holding you back. Well, that is the fundamental promise of biohacking. It's the art and science of becoming the architect of your own biology. That's right. If you've ever grabbed a cup of coffee to sharpen your focus before a big meeting, you've performed a biohack. You intentionally used a substance to change your biological state for a specific outcome. See? Biohacking isn't always about futuristic tech. It really starts with simple, intentional choices to optimize your own system. So here's our game plan. First, we'll break down what biohacking actually is. Then we'll dive into the whole quantified self movement, using data to finally understand your body. From there, we'll explore some of the cutting-edge ways to upgrade your brain and body before bringing it back to earth with powerful hacks for your environment and nutrition. And don't worry, we'll wrap it all up with a practical starter kit you can use today.
Okay, so let's build a solid foundation here. What does this buzzword, biohacking, really truly mean?
At its core, biohacking is really about applying a systems thinking approach to your own health. So instead of just waiting for something to go wrong and then trying to fix it, you're proactively looking at your body as this incredible interconnected system. The whole goal is to make small, data-driven adjustments to optimize that system for more energy, a sharper mind, and a longer, healthier life. And you know, while the term biohacking is pretty new, this human drive to push beyond our natural limits, well, that's as old as civilization itself. The Greek myth of Icarus is a perfect example from ancient times. His father gave him wings, a technological enhancement, right? But his ambition flew way past his wisdom. It's this powerful metaphor for the fine line modern biohacking walks between unbelievable progress and, potential danger. This really breaks down the modern toolkit perfectly. And I want you to notice the biggest piece of that pie: lifestyle. This is fantastic news because it means the most impactful biohacks are accessible to pretty much everyone. This isn't just for tech billionaires in Silicon Valley. The foundation is built on your daily choices: what you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, with technology and supplements just acting as really powerful accelerators. Okay, so if we're going to optimize our system, we need feedback. We have to know if the changes we're making are actually working. And that's where this idea of the quantified self comes into play. Just think about it for a second. Every single heartbeat, every breath, every cycle of sleep is a rich data point that your body is generating 24/7. Now, for most of human history, all of that data was totally invisible to us. But now, we have devices like smartwatches, rings, and patches that act as our personal translators, turning those complex biological signals into clear, actionable insights we can just read on our phones. And these devices measure some really fascinating things. One of the most important is heart rate variability, or HRV. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but here's a simple way to think about it. HRV is like the rhythm of your heart's song. A flexible, varied rhythm means you're well-rested and resilient, but a rigid, unchanging beat, that suggests your body is under stress. It's an incredibly powerful window into how well your nervous system is recovering. And here is that data in action. It's so clear. On the left, a night of really restful sleep leads to a high HRV score of 65. That person is waking up ready to take on the day. But on the right, maybe after a stressful day, a late meal, and poor sleep, HRV has plummeted to 35. Now, this isn't just a number. It's a direct signal from your body that it hasn't recovered. That person is probably waking up feeling foggy, tired, and just not ready for what's ahead. This right here is where the magic happens. The data becomes personal. Once you see that direct cause and effect, that a late night meal or a stressful email before bed or even an evening drink absolutely tanks your recovery scores, you're empowered. You can make an informed choice next time. This isn't about being perfect. It's about having the information to align your choices with your goals. So now that we understand how to listen to our bodies, let's explore how biohackers are actively trying to upgrade them. This is where things get a little more advanced, definitely more powerful, and a little more controversial. We'll start with the brain. You've probably heard of nootropics. often called smart drugs. And the promise is, well, it's pretty tempting. Take a pill or a powder to boost your focus, enhance your memory, and unlock more creativity. But this is a field that is absolutely flooded with both real science and some seriously aggressive marketing hype.
So the key is to separate fact from fiction. In one corner, you've got your well-researched compounds. Caffeine is the world's most popular nootropic for a good reason. But in the other corner, you have prescription drugs that were developed for specific medical conditions like ADHD or narcolepsy, which are sometimes used off-label for cognitive enhancement. And that is a much, much riskier game with a way higher potential for side effects.
And the actual scientific literature urges a lot of caution here. This 2022 review basically says that if your brain is already healthy, the performance boost you might get from these powerful drugs is likely pretty small, while the risks like anxiety, insomnia, or even dependency are significant. It's kind of like trying to overclock a brand new computer. You might get a tiny speed boost, but you're way more likely to just make it crash.
And now we get to the ultimate frontier of biohacking, directly editing our genetic source code. I want you to imagine a word processor, but for your DNA. Technologies like CRISPR allow scientists to find a specific typo, say a gene that causes a disease, and just correct it. The potential to cure inherited diseases is absolutely monumental.
And this brings us right back to that Icarus myth, doesn't it? In 2018, a scientist used CRISPR to make human embryos resistant to HIV. And in doing so, crossed a huge ethical line, from treating disease to enhancing human beings. This just opened a Pandora's box of questions. Who gets access to this kind of tech? Do we risk creating a biological caste system where the wealthy can afford genetic upgrades for their kids? Now, while those massive questions are being debated, the good news is the most powerful biohacks don't require a genetics lab. In fact, they're available to all of us.
So let's pivot from that far-off future and ground ourselves in some simple, free, and incredibly powerful biohacks that just involve mastering your immediate environment.
Okay, let's be crystal clear. Sleep is the single most important biohack there is, period. It's the foundation that all of your health, performance, and recovery is built on. And you can optimize it for free. Getting direct sunlight in your eyes for just 10 minutes in the morning tells your brain's master clock, hey, the day has begun. And on the flip side, avoiding that blue light from screens at night allows your brain to produce melatonin, the hormone that says, okay, it's time to sleep. These aren't just nice ideas, they are direct inputs into your biology.
Another powerful environmental hack is temperature. Both deliberate cold exposure and heat exposure are forms of what scientists call hormesis, which is just a fancy word for a brief, manageable stress that forces your body to adapt and become more resilient. Think of it like lifting weights, but for your circulatory system. A cold shower or a session in a sauna challenges your body, and your body responds by getting stronger, reducing inflammation, and improving cardiovascular function.
So, just like we can hack our external environment, we can also hack our internal one through the fuel we give our bodies. What, how, and when you eat are some of the most direct levers you can pull to influence your biology. I'm sure you've heard of these strategies. Things like intermittent fasting, focused on when you eat, giving your digestive system a nice long break. The ketogenic diet shifts your body's main fuel source from sugar over to fat. And then tools like a continuous glucose monitor, or a CGM, give you that real-time data we talked about, showing you exactly how your body is responding to every single meal.
So what's the ultimate goal of all these nutritional strategies? It really boils down to achieving something called metabolic flexibility. And the hybrid car analogy is just perfect. You want your body to be able to run efficiently on carbs when you eat them, but then seamlessly switch over to burning stored body fat for fuel when carbs aren't around. A metabolically flexible person has more stable energy, fewer cravings, and a dramatically lower risk for chronic diseases. It really is a cornerstone of long-term health. Wow, we have covered a huge amount of ground, from simple habits all the way to gene editing. And I get it, it can feel a little overwhelming. So let's bring it all together and build a simple, actionable starter kit. Where should you actually begin? Here it is, 4 things you can do tomorrow that will have a real impact, and they won't cost you a single penny. Number 1, prioritize your sleep. Number 2, get that morning sunlight. 3, try ending your shower with just 30 seconds of cold water. And finally, number 4, the most fundamental biohack of all. Simply start paying attention. Connect your actions to how you feel. That is the first and most important step in collecting your own data.
And this is maybe the most important takeaway from this entire discussion. For now, forget the exotic supplements and the expensive gadgets. The most effective biohack is always the one you can do consistently. The goal isn't some quick fix. It's about building a sustainable system for a healthier, more optimized life, guided by the data your own body is giving you every single day. And so we end right back where we began, with a really profound question about the future. The promise of biohacking is immense, but so are the ethical challenges. As these technologies become more and more powerful, we as a society have to decide their purpose. Are they tools for healing and for equity? Or will they become tools that just deepen the divide between the haves and the have-nots? That's the conversation we all need to be a part of.